what we've got here is failure to communicate.
Hey, I'm UFC President Dana White, and you're in the ring with Calumn McGregor.
It's officially 6:30 a.m. So for even maybe the one person that might take my advice going into the UFC card tonight, I just wanted to reach out to you guys and give you my takes, because I actually think there's some pretty good takes here and a way to walk away with some money. So the first fight on the card that starts at 4:15 p.m. today is Jesse Strater against Chad Alegre. I've already sang from the rooftops that I think that Chad's just going to be able to outwill him, out-cardio him, pace him, and even tag him with some bigger shots. Strater, I think, might be swimming in deep waters for himself. You're likely going to see Chad. I mean, he could probably finish him early, but I could see Chad finishing him late in the second, if not early in the third. So I think that, even looking at Chad and Alegre winning by inside the distance, I believe is plus 205 right now. Definitely a spot you want to get on. So Chad, I think, is definitely a good prop for inside the distance. If you want to just put fight doesn't go the distance, that's also something you can take a look at. But I'm going to be leaning heavily on Chad to win this inside the distance at plus 205. Next, we'll be looking at Diana Balbita against Gloria de Paula. Once again, you know that I've been seeing Diana's praises not only from a standpoint as to what her technique was beforehand, but how far it's come. The volume's going to be there, and I just think that she's going to decision Gloria de Paula and finish it. Now, if she were to run a game plan that we don't see coming out of nowhere and running the same thing that Blismus did to de Paula, which is mix in the wrestling and confuse the issue, you might even see Diana, have some big moments in this fight. She's sitting currently at minus 120. Gloria de Paula is sitting at even money. I'm going minus 120. Balbita all day long. You don't need to get proppy with it. I mean, you could go decision if you want, but you don't really need to at minus 120. Is she a parlay piece? It's difficult to say, but definitely leaning towards Diana Balbita in this fight. Next fight on the card that I want to break down quickly would be Chase Skelly against Mark Streagle. I've gone back and forth. Chase has been around for obviously a little bit more, I would say, better pedigree schedule. Streagle has had, I think they have the equal record, but just not the same level of opponents. Skelly's going to want to try to drag this down to the ground and potentially submit Streagle. The one thing that sticks out to me in this fight is, and why I'm going to go the way I'm going to go with this, when someone says they're going to retire, and I get that, it's one thing that someone could say they're going to retire, and then, the opponent also has to be good enough to beat them. But when people say they're going to retire, they're 1 foot out, man. I mean, how many people have had a job where they just, they leave, they're like, oh, we'll leave in 2 weeks. How good work did you put in at the end? For me, it's probably a stay away from me, but I wouldn't be surprised if Mark Streagle pulls this one out. I'm leaning Streagle as a pick. I'm going to be straight up. I'm going to go with Streagle as a pick, but I'm not touching this one as far as the betting line. Next fight in the card, we have Jessica Rose Clark against Stephanie Egger. Another one that I've gone back and forth on. There's the idea that Egger's been training a lot of strength and she's going to be stronger in there. There's the talk that Clark's been training a lot of strength and going to be stronger in there. There's the talk of Egger's pedigree as a judoka. I think Jessica Rose Clark gets in on those hips. I think she is able to, deal with some of the judo. I think she's able to drop her hips low, keep them level, but then also keep them nice and low so she's not worried about any, trips or flips. And I think that Rose Clark is going to probably win what is likely a boring decision with maybe 1 or 2 situations where Egger gets out of the spot. It looks scrambly. It looks like there might be something. I think she's going to tag her up on the feet a little bit. I think she's going to be able to lean on her enough. I think it's going to be unremarkable. I don't see it being exciting. I'm staying away from this fight too. Those that are so high in the Clark train alone and dismissing Egger's ability is, I'd say, ill-advised. But that's why I'm going to stay away from this one as much as possible. Next fight on the card, we have Gabriel Benitez against David Onama. I've gone back and forth on this one too. I'm not a huge fan of the fact that, Onama is now minus 165 and money is going back and forth this way and that. The one issue obviously we have now is Gabriel Benitez misses weight. And, I got to give a shout out to the Lock of the Night. He had some pretty good takes this week. And, you know, his guests are always on point. But the one thing I got to take away from what I was even listening to on his podcast is, you know, when a guy comes in and like 15 minutes into the weigh-ins and he's already submitting to the fact that he can't cut weight, that just says so much about you. And I don't think it's strategic. I think he legitimately is just on his way out and done. And I'm not the only one that thinks this, and I've already thought this before. So once again, when you have somebody who's sort of mentally checked out to some degree, and then you have the flip side of things, you have Onama who in his debut fought tooth and nail for his win, went all in and showed what he was made of. You know, the levels might be different, but I'll go with Will all day long, especially when, you know, although the levels are different, they still both have tools to finish each other in this fight. I think Onama is going to win this fight. I think he's going to be able to, yes, weaponize his cardio and be able to put the pace on Benitez and eventually potentially get him out. Definitely want to look at some props on inside the distance if you're going to touch Onama. But really, once again, it's a pick I'm making. I don't know if I'm going to get to the betting window on it. It's probably going to be a stay away for me. But I'm really thinking Onama wins this fight. I really, really strongly do. Next fight in the card, it won't be a prop play, but it definitely is part of our parlay. We're high on Mario Batista. Just keep it simple. He's leaps and bounds better than Jay Perron in everything. And I don't see him, like, Jay shouldn't probably be in the UFC at this level. And I think Mario's just going to ride in this one. So, you know, he's a minus 360. I think we got him in at, you know, about minus 320-ish or whatever it was. He's in our parlay for the week. Mario Batista is our first piece of the parlay for the week. Next, we have Christian Rodriguez against Jonathan Pierce. Pierce is going to be the second leg of our parlay for the week. And this is just simply a size thing, man. I mean, Christian Rodriguez, although he looked great on Dana White Contender Series, good distance control, but then very explosive and always threatening some big shots. I definitely, if it was a different spot, I'd be probably on Rodriguez because he is going to be a good situation for dog money at some point. I just don't think this is the spot. Jonathan Pierce is going to be too big. And he just pressures and pace cardio and pushes people till they break. And I just don't know if staying on the outside, trying to hit some big crazy shots, because he does hit some really dynamic shots in Rodriguez. I mean, I don't know if that's going to be the game plan because Pierce won't give you room. He's just going to press you. And I just got to go with a guy like that all day long. We've backed Pierce in the past. It's come up and helped us out huge. So I'm definitely going with Pierce on this, especially because of size. I'm all day on that one. The next fight in the card, we have Lasson against Joaquin Buckley. Okay. So I've gone back and forth on this one. I was all on Lasson as the dog at plus 133. I've been watching a lot more tape on Buckley. I've been watching more, just going into it. I know a lot of people don't put weight in social media and Instagram and whatever else. Besides all the funny shit, he has been training his ass off. I'm really torn on this one. And when you get torn on something like this one, I want to pick, Al Hassan is the big dog, and I may still, put him in one of our things as big dog online, but I think I almost want to just lean towards the fight doesn't go the distance, or maybe even under. Yeah, see, even under 2.5 right now is minus 230. You could say this fight doesn't, go over 1.5, minus 110. Maybe you want to even look at a prop of, and I don't know if the line's out yet for it. It might not be out yet. Fight to complete 2 full rounds. Yes is a plus 150. I mean, there's something maybe there. Fight to complete 1 full round is minus 165. So the fight to complete 1 full round at minus 165, that at least gives you some room. That's if you're not thinking it's going to end in the first round. I'm just trying to find an angle on this, and I think that's probably the route I'm going to go. Over 1.5 can always be sort of sketchy, and I think I sort of like the fight completes 2 full rounds because I could see this fight going so many different ways. I could see it finishing it all the way, going the distance and Buckley winning. I could see Al Hassan knocking him out in the first or second. We know he's going to gas by the third. Yeah, you know what? I just talked myself into it. So this fight to complete 2 full rounds, that's the play. And I like it. Plus 150. Next fight on the card we have, and bear with me for a moment, is Bodog updates its page. We have Jim Miller against Nicholas Mota. Back and forth on this one as well too. We know that Nicholas Mota can bang, he can land strikes, and we even know too that he can also weather the storm that Jim Miller might, well, maybe weather the storm Jim Miller would throw at him if he takes him to the ground. Referenced by multiple cappers, Joe Selecki is really solid on the ground, and Nicholas Mota was able to at least nullify that to some degree to get back to his feet in this past fight. I think he might be able to do it again against Jim Miller. I don't know if I see Jim Miller landing and having the success he did in the last fight that he's going to have in this one. We've already picked this as part of our parlay. Its fight doesn't go the distance. We got it at minus 150. I think that's the play. Another one you might want to look at is fight doesn't complete 2 full rounds, because I think late in the second round is where this could go. So if you look at under 1.5 right now, is plus 145. Fight doesn't, or under 2.5 actually is even minus 135, and it's because this could go the distance, right? I just don't think it's going to. I think this one's finishing inside the distance. I think it's likely going to be Malta, but I mean, Miller's got power in his hands and submission still is there. So I can't do that to myself. I'm not playing that game and sweating that much. I sweat enough as it is. So I think what I'm going to do is we're going to take a look at either just stick with the fight doesn't go the distance. But if you want to prop it, I mean, under 2.5 is nice. Under 2.5 is nice, or round doesn't. What is it? Round? No, they might not even have the full-on rounds. Yeah, I don't see it here. So yeah, I mean, even under 2.5 is nice at minus 135. But fight doesn't go the distance. I like that minus 150. So take it as you is. Take it as you is. Take it as you see it. I'm just trying to find some angles here where I could see it going. It could go the distance. I don't think so though. Next fight on the card we have Alan Budo against Parker Porter. So Parker Porter, has become the fan favorite. Called it way back against Chase Sherman that he was going to be able to push the pace and just win over a guy that's pretty much out to pasture because he's not able to utilize some of the advantages he had before Osada. That's the nicest way of saying it. Parker Porter, although I'm so high on him in this spot, I just will fade Alan Budo until forever. And I feel bad because it's not the guy's fault that, a good childhood friend of mine, Todd Stout, was around or had smoked weed, whatever it was, I don't know. But like every other capper, I will say, Todd beat the brakes off of Alan. And then he did what he was known for, which was took Alan down and submitted him. Now, it's not to take away anything from Todd's ability to take a guy to the ground or submit somebody, but that wasn't his wheelhouse. Todd is an athletic man who pushes pace and lands big shots. Well, that was supposed to be what Budo can handle, and he couldn't do that. And he's in the UFC, and yeah. So you have someone who's way more talented beat you, and then gets caught with metabolites of THC, and you get into the UFC off of a disqualification overturned, horrible Quebec Commission decision. Then you go on to lose every fight in the UFC from then on. And people are still talking about the power in your hands, and I would bet a chunk against it only because I haven't seen it. I haven't seen it anything that tells me he's going to win this fight in any way, shape, or form. Yet people are still like, oh, but the power's in the hands. And I'm not hating on him. It's just, where is it? Yeah, no, I'm waiting. Okay, so let's go back to the fact that he got into the UFC based on a disqualification. Usually when I say guys just come into the UFC and they have like 3 fight wins or whatever it is and they're low level, we always fade the shit out of them. We've had an opportunity to fade this man time and time and time again. And I'm going to do it again. This is even worth a sprinkle situation where you sprinkle Porter in multiple ways. I know this sounds crazy, I'm saying Porter in multiple ways. But I do like Porter in a club and sub situation. I do like him, weighing, like throwing his body weight at Budo and leaning on him on the cage and making him work a little bit and then catching him with a shot. He lands some nice shots. And if there's even a waver, even, a stumble, he's going to be on him. And I think he gets to the ground, and I think Porter's going to submit him. I know that's a popular prop right now. I mean, you could just look at Porter inside the distance, or you could be an asshole like me and sprinkle more. If you look at, where are we right now? Porter by submission is plus 450. So Porter by submission plus 450. Porter by TKO, KO, and or disqualification is plus 145. If you can get it inside the distance, it's going to likely be right around there, about the plus 145. I don't have it up here right now. So yeah, man, I think I would say you got to go Porter, and I think that you could really go heavy on a prop. This is a spot. And I mean, if Allen were to burn us on this, okay, it is what it is. But I mean, nothing shows me that he's going to. Like, there's nothing that shows me that. So if that's the case, dial that shit in. Okay, I'll stop my hate on Allen Budo. I don't even think that's how you say his name. Next fight on the card, we have Kyle Dawkis against Jamie Pickett. Jamie Pickett's a guy who I've faded quite a bit. I think a lot of us have faded quite a bit. I gave maybe a little bit too much love for his last fight because I think I was fading him so much. Then he comes out with the win. But we watched the tape again. A lot of cage leaning and a lot of, dominant control, but just not really with any substance. So a guy like Kyle Dawkis he'll push the pace on him a bit, but I think he's going to end up submitting him. I think in some of the scrambles and then some of the time on the ground, I think it's only a matter of time. Even if Pickett can hold on for a bit, and Dawkis will attack a submission and hold it there for a while and tire you out. And then, you make one move one way or the other way, and he just sinks that shit in, and it's over. So, I mean, I'm going Kyle Dawkis on this, but Pickett just fucks me so many times that I got to stay away for that reason. It's just literally my own personal scenario, but I'm staying away from Pickett. I think Dawkis wins by submission. Dawkis by submission is sitting currently right now at plus, 1 second. So Chris Dawkis wins inside the distance is plus 175. Or sorry, Kyle, not Chris. And Kyle by submission is plus 235. So Kyle by submission plus 235. Not a bad way to approach this.
The first fight on this card from top down that we're going to discuss is going to be Johnny Walker versus Jamal Hill. Now, since I'm not doing a full card breakdown, I do have a little bit more time to go in depth on these ones. And for this fight, I think a lot of people are just going to juice the hell out of the Jamal Hill line. If you look at it right now, it's sitting at a plus or a minus 250 already for Jamal Hill. And I think there's something to be said with Johnny Walker going 5 rounds with Thiago Santos. I know that Jamal Hill came out and starched Jimmy Crute in his last fight, but that fight was a lot of poor fight IQ on Jimmy Crute's style. I don't know why he chose to stand there and strike with him. The smaller cage in this fight will heavily favor Jamal Hill, the super big guy, but you have to wonder what Johnny Walker's going to be able to do too. We've seen the issues with Johnny Walker and his chin recently, but a lot of that can be fixed with just by adjusting his poor fight IQ. Because in all reality, a lot of times where Johnny Walker gets hit, it's in fights where he kind of leaves himself exposed. Hopefully smart enough not to do that in this one. I do think Jamal Hill rides, but I think at the end of the day, you bet the KO which way you go. I know we've all seen it in the Thiago Santos fight where that fight somehow went 5 rounds. I think we're all a little bit blown away by that. But so did Francis Ngannou and Cyril Gane. So these are things that happen in the sport, unfortunately. No matter how much you break it down and study it, there's certain things that we cannot predict. This is one I'd be watching heavily on the weigh-ins and seeing really how both guys look. As I said, like Johnny Walker has all the tools to win this fight. Jamal Hill is a guy I like to fade. I faded him in his last fight. I faded him against Paul Craig and ended up, luckily for me, with Bet365, the sub prop and the TKO prop are all wrapped together. So I ended up cashing on that ticket, but they did rule it a TKO. So a lot of people that prop bet that one did lose their money on that and were kind of disappointed. But that said, be careful on this line. Laying the minus 250 on Jamal Hill and thinking it's a secure bet really isn't. Johnny Walker is a very skillful, very technical, very out there fighter. It's just he struggled with that fight IQ and to really get himself together in his most recent outing. Sorry. So if you really want to parlay this one, the fight doesn't go the distance. It's probably your best bet. The next fight I want to talk about on this card is Jim Miller versus Nicholas Mota. Now, I've had the pleasure of breaking down this fight already, as this is a fight that's been rescheduled. And I stand exactly where I said in the last one. I get that Nicholas Mota is a wild striker. He's a very durable guy, younger, coming to the sport. But I like Jim Miller a lot in this spot. We've seen the fact that Jim Miller is able to take out these young guns before. And I think he's going to do the exact same thing in this spot. And so a lot of the tape I've watched on Mota, he has had some issues with the ground game. And I think Jim Miller's durability is just going to be the difference in this fight. Whenever you watch Nicholas Mota, he comes out, throws very, very wild shots. But if there's something we've learned time and time again, it's that whenever you're throwing these wild shots, you're leaving yourself open to be exposed. And that double leg, in my opinion, is going to be there all day for Jim Miller. And if he gets him on the ground, he's going to wrap up a submission. So honestly, I like Jim Miller a lot in the spot. I like him by sub. I don't really have a lot of faith in Nicholas Mota. So, as I said in my previous breakdown, I think Jim Miller comes in here and gets it done. Another fight I want to discuss on this card is Joaquin Buckley versus Abdul Hakassan. And this is one where I'm 100% on the dog in this one. I don't put much stock in Joaquin Buckley. I've never really liked the guy. I think he's a cocky, brash individual. I don't think he's a very skillful fighter. And to be honest, he's not a guy I see lasting very long in the UFC. With Abdul, he had a lot of personal issues outside the UFC, made him step away, but he seems to be coming back into his own light. He's been taking his training very seriously. He's starting to evolve his game a little bit. It's a guy that I follow fairly heavily. And I think his fight IQ will be the difference in this one as well. We both know these guys have KO power, but other than getting absolutely starched by Chaos Williams, I really do believe that Abdul is a more durable fighter in this spot. And if you look at the way that Joaquin Buckley kind of ducks and slides into it, he's going to leave himself exposed a lot. And he's either going to get clipped with a head kick or heavy right overhand or something, but he's just not the most intelligent fighter. And I don't honestly understand why he's a favorite in this spot. I think Abdul is going to absolutely decimate this guy. And I'm hoping we don't see Joaquin Buckley in the UFC for much longer. If there's three fighters I hate, the two top ones have to be Fabio Charant. Hopefully he gets KO tonight. William Turner. Hopefully he's not in the UFC for much longer. And Joaquin Buckley. All three of these guys I cannot stand. So unfortunately, I won't be able to check to see the result of this fight, but I already have a heavy bet on Abdul Hakassan, and I'm hoping on that flight home on Sunday, I'll be able to look at a cash ticket and a dead body lying on the floor of Joaquin Buckley. Another fight I really wanted to discuss on this card is Mario Batista versus Khalid. This is a fight that whenever it got announced, I was looking forward to a lot. Both are good prospects in the UFC, but Mario is a guy I think has great potential. If you look at the way this guy moves, he's very clean striking, nice kicks. He's a guy that has a lot of finishes on his record, but a guy that's not afraid to go to a decision. And I think that's what's going to make or break this fight. If you look at Taha, the guy throws wild. All of his fights, he's throwing left hooks, right hooks, lunging in, trying to take your head off. And if you look at Mario Batista, he's got great kicks, great punches, and he's very good at evading. He keeps a long stance, and I think he's going to be able to just kind of duck and move and get out of the way of Taha, make Taha do something stupid. As I said, he's very into these lunging shots, and I think he's going to be able to clip him, take him out, or is that right his way to a decision. The line right now is sitting at a minus 125, It's a very fair line. I see this line getting very juiced, or at least probably sitting at a minus 200 by the time this fight comes to closing. So if this gets out early enough, that is a line I very much suggest jumping on. And I think he rides, man. I'm looking forward to see what this guy does in the future. I think he's got a lot of potential. He's constantly learning and evolving his game. And we'll see what this guy's made of and see how far he can get in the UFC. There's two more fights on this card that I want to break down. And one of them, it's not even really going to be much of a breakdown. It's just going to be sharing some love. And it's on Jessica Rose Clark. Honestly, I love this girl, man. I love what she's doing. So you follow this girl on Instagram, like the improvements that she's making, how seriously she's taking her training camp. She's a diehard, man. Like, she's going up against Stephanie Egger, who is a fairly good competitor. Like, this fight may be fairly close, but I think Jessica Rose Clark rides in the spot. She's one of my favorites on this card. I said the improvements that she makes, she's super durable, great striking, great grappling, has a real all-around game. And honestly, I think she's somebody that could be running for a title in the future. As long as she keeps making the improvements that she's making and the way she's going. Right now, she's sitting at a minus 210. This is another line that's probably going to be juiced by fight day. But, man, this girl's going to ride in the spot. All respect to Stephanie Egger. She's a good competitor, but I don't think she's on Jessica Rose Clark's level. And as I said, like, I'm really excited to see what this girl does in the future. And she's a good parlay piece, to be honest. Like, I'm very excited to, whenever I get back from Cuba, I'm going to be obviously rewatching these fights and seeing what angles I have and, make sure I can really catch up on this. But yeah, Jessica Rose Clark all day, man. This girl's going to ride in the spot. I think this is an easy money one. Lastly, I just want to do a quick rundown of the card. I said, see what unfortunately, like I said, since I'm not doing this really in light of the card and where I actually have prop bets and stuff like that to go off of, I just want to do a quick rundown, a couple stay away spots, and what my official parlay for this card would be. Lastly, I just want to take a rundown of the card, explain my main parlay would be some stay away fights that I think just kind of are trap spots in this. So just quickly, for the heavyweight fight you have on this card, you have Parker Porter versus Alan Budo. This is a complete stay away for me. Don't lay a minus 250 chalk on Parker Porter. Like, you're talking about two very sloppy heavyweights that could essentially end each other's lights at any moment, or you're going to end up in a really greasy split decision. And if you're the one with sitting there with a minus 250 price tag and you're hearing that Judge A scores it one way and Judge A scores it the other way, you're not going to be happy with the results. Odds are it's not going to go in your favor because it usually doesn't. So that fight, stay completely away from it, man. Go get a beer, do something, smoke a joint, but do not touch that fight. For a main parlay that I honestly like, and I don't generally put dogs in my parlays, but I really like Mario Batista, Abdul Akasan, Jessica Rose Clark, and Chad Aguilar. That alone gives you a plus 17. If you're a little bit worried adding the dog into it, I completely get it. You could always just bet that fight doesn't go the distance because it's not going to. You're going to lay some heavy chalk on it. But even if you get it at a minus 350, it doesn't really matter because it's probably going to be the easiest cash you're going to get on the ticket. So that would be it. But as I said, if you take out Abdul Hagasan, you're still sitting at a plus 262, and it's a parlay I'm fairly confident in. As for prop wise, depending on how they go, I said I kind of like Mario Batista by decision, or a late third round TKO. Jim Miller by sub, whatever that prop is, I would take it. Jessica Rose Clark by decision. And a fun fight on this card that I didn't really get a chance to go into too much depth in is Gabriel Benitez versus David Owama. These are two really good fighters. And honestly, this is just a fight for the fans. These guys are going to go at it, swing, takedowns. You're going to get the whole 9 yards, and it's going to be a real fun fight. So I hope everybody enjoys my little breakdown. And cheers, everyone. Don't Tap Podcast, MMA breakdowns. we find angles for you. And I don't remember what Calumn always said.
We just try to find angles. We just try to help you out. And I like watching tape. And I know it can be annoying at times when we try to break things down for you and give you the best possible shot at making some money. And if you don't like it.
What we've got here is failure to communicate.
The champ, John Jones.
Follow me on Twitter.